Scanning for audio.
Welcome to the Tin Dog Podcast. This time I'll be talking about The Silver Nemesis, Part 2 in the new Cyberman box set. Here's the trailer.
The Nemesis generates destruction. I launched it into space with an orbit that brings it back to Earth every 25 years.
What's really going on, Doctor?
Destroy them!
Destiny beckons.
I am beautiful, am I not?
That lot were only the advance party.
Eradicate the human female.
Silver Nemesis. A story that everyone just dismisses out of hand as having almost exactly the same plot as Remembrance of the Daleks. That's not quite true and a bit harsh if you ask me. Like I said, it's the second of the 2-disc set, the first part being Revenge of the Cybermen. Here we have the last time the Cybermen were truly to appear in the TV series. It's a 3-part story featuring Sylvester McCoy and Ace. Not, as many people would have it, their favourite Doctor. But for me, this is the sneaky Doctor, the Doctor that went on to appear in the Virgin Adventures. This is the Doctor who's planning things, and more importantly, this is the Doctor who appears in my all-time favourite fan theory. The Doctor who worked in a museum dealing with ancient Gallifreyan weapons, realised how much trouble they were going to be, and ran off with them. First, to Earth 1963, and secondly, to Earth in the time of Lady Peinforte. After that, things get completely out of hand, and he ends up having the adventures you see on TV. Eventually, of course, he'll become the Other in Rassilon, Omega and the Other, but unless you're a hardcore fan, none of this really matters, or indeed makes sense. So instead of talking about all that nonsense, let's talk about Silver Nemesis. Yes, it's the 25th anniversary. Yes, it's the overacting, ridiculously allergic to gold, and far too emotional Cybermen. It's got Nazis, it's got Elizabethan people in it, it's got jazz players, it's got far too much. And that's one of the things that annoys a many Doctor Who fan. Yes, it could be completely said that this is over-egging the pudding, but when I was watching it as a kid, it didn't feel over-egged at all. It just felt exciting. It didn't feel overly complicated. It didn't feel any of the things that most fans feel about this story. I loved Ace's tape deck. Even looking at it now, it has a wonderfully retro feel. Yes, being shot on location on videotape has not helped the age of this programme. But as always, I'm hardly going to hold that against it. No, it's genuinely not as bad as most people out there seem to think. So let's look at the programme itself. The plot is relatively simple, despite the fact that the silver anniversary-ness has been shoehorned into the storyline so obviously as to get on your nerves. Apparently, the Doctor had some sort of Gallifreyan superweapon, validium, a big lump of metal, which bizarrely ended up on Earth, and was, of course, like you would find a large lump of metal, have it turned into a statue. This statue, of course, comes to life for no adequately explored reason, and indeed you never get to see this initial storyline. It's all backstory. The woman who has it made into a statue, Lady Peinforte, is, of course, very clever and quite wealthy and a bit scary. The Doctor defeats her, again, none of this is seen, and it is sent, this big lump of metal, off into space in the Nemesis asteroid, visiting Earth every 25 years and causing much pain and destruction on Earth every 25 years. Do you not think the Doctor might have taken the statue away and put it somewhere less dangerous and prone to alien invasion? But hey, this is the Doctor. Half measures are his thing. Meanwhile, back in the story you're actually seeing, The Doctor's watching Courtney Pine do some jazz. Great. Nice. When his rather nice pocket watch goes off. Now, I must admit, I did try and make one of these back in 1989. Taking an old pocket watch and putting a digital clock inside. I know it was sacrilege. I apologise to the great clockmakers in the sky. I didn't know better, and I still would like one of these watches. I think that does count as a ramble. Moving on. As I said, the storyline is fairly convoluted. The Doctor realises his alarm's gone off and says, I think I'll find out why this alarm's gone off, the way you do. He uses Ace's really modified ghetto blaster to find out exactly which planet is in mortal danger. Of course it's Earth, what a surprise. It's in danger from the asteroid returning to Earth. It's in danger from, well, all sorts. Of course it's the Silver Nemesis. Silver has to be Cybermen. These Cybermen are the overacting 80s type, the ones done by Davy Banks, and are wonderful to behold. Yes, they come across as far too emotional. Now, I know in defence of them, it has been said that the Cyber Leader uses what he classes as emotion in order to use the weaknesses of emotion in the people he's trying to have a go at. Yeah, and so it's a bit convoluted, but basically it's a cop-out and not really worth going into. The only thing that is annoying here is that the Cybermen are so incredibly allergic to gold, as they might as well all shout, "Run away!" like Monty Python whenever they see it. Lady Peinforte has gold arrows, and Ace uses gold coins. This doesn't really make sense, because in the previous story, the Cybermen were only allergic to gold in the sense that it clogged up their chest units and suffocated them. That made sense. Here, it's just the existence of gold that makes them all a bit jumpy and run away. Gold's hardly radioactive. I just can't figure out why they're frightened of it. What kills them? It just doesn't quite make sense. Yes, there wasn't the ability, then, as now, to check the continuity, to work it all out. But that's fine. Look, it's not a bad story. Give it a go. You'll be buying it anyway. I'm sure you will. And as for the Nazis, well, let's face it, they're all comedy Nazis. They're the sort of thing you saw in The Tomorrow People and Wonder Woman. There's a lot of talk about the Supermen and all of the other things that you see in traditional, well, stories with Nazis in it, really. The only thing that's missing is Hitler's brain, and I'm sure they're saving that for another storyline. As an anniversary story, yes, it shares too many similarities with the Dalek story seen only 3 weeks earlier. But don't hold that against it. There's enough differences here for you to be happy enough. Extras-wise, it's not as filled as Revenge of the Cybermen, but that's really not a problem. There's a very nice making-of documentary with some great lines, demonstrating the difference in pitching Doctor Who then and now. There's no Easter egg on this disc, unlike the last one, but there is, as always, a very nice commentary. And, of course, the usual things. The thing that does let this disc down, and it's not the disc's fault, is that it contains a trailer for Time and the Rani. Enough to turn anybody's blood cold. Time and the Rani. No one's finest hour. And so before I fade away, I just want to say that remember, Whostrologies are available from the Tin Dog Podcast website. Terrible Zodin 7 is available from the Terrible Zodin site. Simply type in Terrible Zodin. It'll take you there. And if you feel the need to donate any amount of cash, please just click on the link on the webpage at the top right-hand side. And now the Whostrology reading for Brian Dean. Born on the 30th of July, 1960. Born before the Doctor left Gallifrey with Susan in his first house. You were born before An Unearthly Child. You share your birthday with Alan Curtis, 1930. Your Whostrology. You are the most blessed of us all. You beheld the lost classics. Deep in your memory is the truth we all seek. You have much to do. Bury that pesky weapon of mass destruction and enroll your granddaughter in school. Beware interfering teachers and faulty chameleons. Try to act as a unit when modern technology gets the better of those closer to you. Action may be needed against a lumbering fool who doesn't even know the name of a good physician. So until next time, when I'll be talking about the King's Demons, be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.